father was murdered by the Cossacks. He saw an elderly woman being attacked, and he went to try and help her, and they shot him.
The western territories of the Russian Empire in the aftermath of the revolution is absolutely catastrophic. You have the collapse of power. Every group in the population is threatened. No one is safe.
It was 1921, before Hitler, before Stalin. They lived in the most dangerous of times, in the most dangerous of places, and they were just vulnerable children.
Things were very hard there.
I was an animal, I wasn't a human being.
We were the lucky ones. I don't know why.
One man made it his mission to save them.
To bring our children, put himself into danger. He was much more than just an ordinary man.
He was a great man.
Ordinary monthly meeting of the General Committee of the Cape Town Jewish Orphanage, 8th August 1920. Mr. Isaac Ochberg in the chair. Russian Jewish Orphans. The chairman explained that owing to the war and pogroms that were taking place in Eastern Europe, a large number of Jewish orphans were left destitute. He felt strongly that South African Jewry should do something for these unfortunate children.
By 1920, more than 10 million people in Russia had perished from 6 years of war, famine, and disease. 1 million children were without mothers or fathers. But one group of these orphans, numbering as many as 300,000, were especially at risk. For they were Jews. This is the story of how a businessman at the other end of the world turned his belief that something must be done for these children into action. As a 17-year-old immigrant from Russia, he'd arrived in Cape Town in 1895, penniless and unable to speak English. 4 years later, he was a British citizen. Within 10 years, he was a successful entrepreneur, and by 1920, his business interests, which stretched from ship salvage to property development and cinema ownership, made him one of South Africa's wealthiest men. This was Isaac Ochberg.
We called him Daddy because to most of our children, he was the only daddy they ever knew.
We ran to him, Daddy Ochberg, Daddy Ochberg.
It took him 3 hours to walk up the stairs. One child would pull at his little finger, the other one would pull at the jacket, the other one would pull at his trousers. He just couldn't move.
He was a larger-than-life character. The very first time I sort of saw him through other people's eyes was when I was at school and the librarian called me over and she was sobbing and said, "I've just read your grandmother's book," and I was so moved.
"88-year-old Sissy Harris is one of the last surviving Ochberg orphans. As a 2-year-old, Ochberg found her and her 2 elder sisters in the Ukrainian town of Kostopol. She returns to the place of her birth for the first time.
I'm clinging to my elder sister. And we were probably all crying. And my grandmother said that she couldn't bear to watch us go because she'd never see us again.
Half the world's Jews, more than 5 million souls, lived in Russia at the start of the 20th century, a time when anti-Semitic feelings reached near hysterical proportions in the Pale of Settlement, that curiously named part of the Tsar's empire from the Baltic to the Black Sea, where Jews were permitted to live.